Oh, my God. Oh.
The early 2000s were a strange, uncertain era for television comedy. Networks were still addicted to the success formula of the 90s multi-camera sitcoms, cozy family dynamics, a laugh track echoing after every joke. But the audience had already started drifting away. Reality TV was exploding, viewer tastes were shifting, and the world itself was changing faster than network executives could understand. Instead of adapting, most networks kept trying to revive a style that had already taken its final breaths.
Last time you and Doug had sex. I'm sorry, I'm not a big fan of segues.
You would have told Pam anyway.
We just hit a little dry patch. That's all. You know, a couple of weeks.
The result? A wave of bizarre experiments, awkward reboots, and short-lived comedies that barely survived long enough to air a handful of episodes. Shows came and went so quickly that many viewers don't even remember they existed. So today we're digging deep into the forgotten corners of early 2000s television.
Oh, when are you leaving town?
I'm covering the Bulls and Lakers in Chicago, but I don't leave till tomorrow. You're not going to believe what Pam told me. Can you hang on a second? She'll call back.
Welcome to the sitcom graveyard, a place where ambitious ideas, recycled formulas, and truly strange creative decisions were laid to rest quietly and quickly. Let's begin the countdown of 10 sitcoms from the early 2000s that arrived with hope, failed spectacularly, and disappeared before anyone had time to notice. Number 10, Hidden Hills. Premiere year, 2002. Network NBC.
Hello. What? You patted me on the back. I guess that's better than a punch in the throat, yet I find myself wanting more.
Oh, I'm sorry. Have a great day.
Fantastic.
Kicking off our list is Hidden Hills, a suburban comedy that tried to blend adult humor with family charm and ended up stuck somewhere in the middle. NBC launched the series with high expectations, hoping it would capitalize on the growing appetite for neighborhood dramas and marital comedy. The show followed two couples living inside a picture-perfect gated community where gossip moved faster than the mail and every backyard barbecue was guaranteed to spark awkward conversations. Justin Lewis and Paula Marshall played the central married couple juggling kids, relationship stress, and the everyday absurdity of suburban life.
This is not just about sex.
It sure feels like it, Doug. Look, I don't know where this started, but it seems like every time you brush past me lately, that's what you're after.
What I'm after.
On paper, it should have worked. But in execution, the show struggled with identity. It wasn't quite edgy enough to stand beside adult comedies, but it wasn't wholesome enough to attract family audiences either. The tone wavered from sarcastic satire to warm family moments without ever fully committing to either.
Let's go, people! Move quickly to your vehicles! Move it! Move it! Hey, wait a minute! That is the wrong way!
Here's another thing I don't get. What the hell ever happened to school buses?
All 13 episodes did air, but NBC quietly phased it out as soon as the season ended. Critics described it as forgettable, pleasant but empty, and a show that thought it was smarter than it actually was.
Oh, but the kids are watching their favorite TV show, honey.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's okay. I can drive them home.
Great, guys. Thanks.
Okay,
See you later.
see ya.
In the end, Hidden Hills wasn't a disaster. It was simply invisible. A sitcom that slipped through the cracks of TV history, remembered only by those who stumbled across it during its short run. Number 9, Baby Bob. Premiere year, 2002. Network CBS.
Magical thing I've ever seen in my life. And I was there opening night of Starlight Express.
Yes, the title tells you exactly what this show was about. Baby Bob centered around a baby who could talk like a grown man, complete with sarcasm, adult-level vocabulary, and a personality that felt more like a middle-aged office worker than a 6-month-old child. The idea originally came from an internet commercial character, and CBS seemed convinced that if people laughed at the concept for 20 seconds online, they'd love it for 22 minutes on primetime television.
Bites and making out with my hot friends.
Hit the lights.
Spoiler, they didn't. The show followed a young couple adjusting to parenthood, only to discover that their baby could talk. While the voice acting tried to be witty, the combination of CGI mouth movements and sitcom punchlines created something viewers found unsettling. The comedy leaned heavily on the talking baby says adult things gimmick, and after a couple of episodes, the novelty wore off fast.
It's a get-rich-quick scheme. I'm all ears. That teddy bear set me back $1,000.
CBS produced 14 episodes, but only 9 made it to air before the network quietly removed it from the lineup. Critics harshly criticized the show for being creepy, forced, and unnecessary. Several publications later ranked it among the strangest sitcoms ever created.
Why should I pay him for something I can do myself?
Have you seen yourself, Park?
Anyway, thank you both for the lovely dinner.
And oddly enough, Baby Bob didn't fully disappear. After its cancellation, the talking infant made a comeback, in fast food commercials of all places. A final, bizarre chapter to a sitcom that probably shouldn't have been made in the first place. Number 8, The Random Years. Premiere year, 2002. Network, UPN.
You know what? You look great.
Thanks, so do you. Except for this. Behind your ear.
At number 8, we have The Random Years, a sitcom that attempted to capture the chaos, confusion, and late-night pizza lifestyle of early adulthood, but ended up feeling like a faded copy of shows that had done it better years before. UPN introduced this series with the hope of tapping into the post-college survival audience. The setup was simple. 3 friends sharing a cramped New York apartment, trying to figure out relationships, careers, and adulthood. Usually failing at all 3.
There's nothing my woman and I like more after a bout of lovemaking than a hot cup of joe.
Sweetie.
The characters fit the familiar mold. The awkward one who never knew what to say, the wannabe ladies' man who talked more than he accomplished, and the mature friend who spent most of his time cleaning up the group's disasters. But that was exactly the problem. Audiences had seen these archetypes so many times that the show felt decades old the moment it aired. The chemistry wasn't bad, and the actors played their roles earnestly, but nothing about the series stood out. It lacked the spark, originality, and sharp writing that defined classic ensemble comedies.
You know, there's really no reason why this has to be awkward. We're all adults and friends. We can handle this, right?
Only 7 episodes were ever produced, and UPN pulled the plug after airing just 4 of them. Viewers didn't connect, ratings crashed almost immediately, and critics dismissed it as a sitcom without identity or purpose.
Oh, okay, so I could just sit back and watch you two? Well, when you put it that way, forget it, wise men.
Okay.
In the end, The Random Years became one more example of how networks in 2002 were desperately trying to recreate the success of earlier sitcoms, without realizing the audience had already moved on. Number 7, imagine that. Premiere year, 2002. Network, NBC.
I'll just have to select someone. Let's begin with Toby.
Football.
Football?
Sliding into number 7 is Imagine That, a show that had a truly clever idea but struggled to translate it into something viewers could understand or enjoy week after week. The story revolved around Josh Miller, a comedy writer whose imagination constantly interrupted real life. One minute he was sitting in a meeting, and the next his mind would burst into a hyper-dramatic fantasy sequence filled with exaggerated visuals and surreal humor. These daydreams were meant to give audiences a peek inside the mind of a creative genius.
Oh, that's a big fleet.
Yeah, well, you gotta do things in a big way when you're the Queen of Egypt.
Hank Azaria, an incredibly talented performer known for his voice work and comedic range, carried the lead role. His acting was strong, the imagination sequences were often visually fun, and the show looked like something fresh. But the problem was consistency. The tone jumped from heartfelt to chaotic without warning, and the episodes felt more like sketches than stories. Viewers struggled to follow the emotional core of the series because the fantasy interruptions overshadowed the character development.
Welcome home, travelers. Don't know what's so funny. You're the one who missed the trip.
NBC ordered 13 episodes but aired only 2 before pulling it from the schedule. The remaining episodes surfaced much later in scattered reruns. Critics described the show as creative but unfocused, and fans felt the idea was ahead of its time, the kind of concept that might have thrived on modern streaming platforms, but simply didn't fit the structure of early 2000s network TV. Ultimately, Imagine That became a symbol of experimental sitcoms that were too quirky for mainstream audiences, yet not sharp enough for niche fans. It remains a fascinating what could have been in sitcom history. Number 6, In-Laws. Premiere date, September 24, 2002. Network NBC.
You definitely make up for the lean years when I had my afro.
At number 6, we have In-Laws, a sitcom that tried to ride the popularity wave of awkward family comedies, but couldn't quite find the right balance between sweet and stressful. The premise centered around a newlywed couple whose dreams of a peaceful married life instantly collapsed when they moved in with the bride's parents to save money. What followed was a non-stop clash of personalities, misunderstanding, and a father-in-law who treated the son-in-law less like family and more like a suspicious suspect.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, sweetie.
Sorry we're late.
Traffic, it was a nightmare.
Oh, so you're a few minutes late? Big deal. Family dinners don't start until the whole family's here.
Where's Dad?
Dennis Farina, famous for his tough, no-nonsense roles, played the intimidating ex-cop father-in-law. His sharp comedic delivery was easily the best thing about the show. Paired against him was Elon Gold, who portrayed the anxious son-in-law constantly trying and failing to win approval.
Got swiveling gun turrets on top? Make those Brinks trucks look like Tonka toys.
NBC heavily promoted In-Laws, hoping it would become the next big family sitcom, but the show never managed to carve out a unique identity. It wasn't bad, it was just too familiar. The humor leaned heavily on predictable misunderstandings and overused jokes, and despite its talented cast, the show struggled to stand out in a crowded TV landscape. 15 episodes were produced, but only 14 aired before NBC quietly phased it out. Fans who enjoyed the father-in-law versus son-in-law dynamic might find it charming today, but back in 2002, In-Laws simply couldn't compete with stronger comedies on the air. Number 5, Maybe It's Me, 2001-2002. Network The WB. Premiere 2001.
I believed you.
Breakfast, everyone!
Oh, God, that cowbell.
Boys, twinnies, Tubby!
At number 5, we have Maybe It's Me, a sitcom that had a quirky charm but completely collapsed under the weight of its own chaotic storytelling. The show followed 15-year-old Maddie, a teenage girl trying to survive high school while living with one of the most bizarre, over-the-top families ever seen on early 2000s TV. The series used a unique narration style, complete with on-screen graphics, labels, arrows, flashbacks, and comedic freeze frames. It tried to feel like a live-action cartoon, loud, colorful, and fast-paced. While that style was creative, it quickly became overwhelming for viewers who wanted a consistent story rather than non-stop visual noise.
Listen, can I call you sometime?
Okay, sure.
Each episode was packed with exaggerated family members. A father obsessed with rules, a mother who turned everything into a dramatic moment, siblings who were either borderline geniuses or total disasters, and Maddie stuck in the middle, trying to make sense of the madness. Critics felt the show tried too hard to be funny, and audiences agreed. The jokes relied heavily on gimmicks, and the plot lines often got buried under visual chaos. Instead of building emotional moments, every scene was interrupted by on-screen commentary or random cutaway gags.
Could we just be a little sensitive to Mia, okay?
Oh, of course we can, dear. Mia, why don't you tell us all about it?
Despite having a likable lead character, the series failed to find its identity. It wasn't grounded enough for a family sitcom, but it wasn't clever enough to stand out as experimental comedy. After one season, the WB quietly canceled it, and it faded into the long list of early 2000s sitcoms that audiences barely noticed. In the end, Maybe It's Me became another example of how style cannot replace solid storytelling. Even with creative editing and a unique voice, the show simply couldn't keep viewers interested. Number 4, That 80s Show. Premiere date, January 23rd, 2002. Network, Fox.
Hey, I'm not gonna say it again, Sophia. It is over.
Great! Take care!
Taking the number 4 spot is That 80s Show, a series that proved nostalgia doesn't always strike twice. After the massive success of That 70s Show, Fox tried to repeat the magic by jumping ahead a decade. While the two shows share writing and producing teams, That 80s Show was not a spin-off, and that confusion hurt it from the start.
Good looking, straight.
How good looking?
Daddy? No.
Set in 1984, the show followed a group of young adults navigating careers, relationships, and neon-bright cultural trends of the era. The fashion was loud, the music was iconic, and the dialogue tried hard to capture the unapologetic confidence of the decade. Glenn Howerton, years before becoming famous in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, starred as the lead. Watching him in this early role is genuinely interesting. You can spot hints of the comedic persona he would later become known for.
Let me think. PQR.
But the biggest issue was tone. Instead of natural storytelling, the show often felt like a highlight reel of 1980s references stitched together. The characters were exaggerated, the jokes were inconsistent, and the nostalgia felt forced rather than fun. Fox produced 13 episodes, but the show was canceled after one season. Over time, that 80s show has gained a weird cult curiosity. Not because it was great, but because it shows how networks in 2002 misunderstood what made nostalgia-driven TV actually work. Number 3, Family Affair. Premiere date, September 12, 2002. Network, WB.
I think he's looking at you, sissy. No, he's not.
Is he? He is. Oh my god. Oh my god.
At number 3, we revisit Family Affair, a remake of the beloved 1966 series. The show promised nostalgia and heartwarming family moments, but 2002 audiences weren't buying it. Gary Cole played the straight-laced Uncle Bill, while the legendary Tim Curry returned as the devoted butler, Mr. French. On paper, it was a dream team, but the execution fell short. The jokes felt outdated, the chemistry artificial, and the storylines failed to resonate with modern viewers. Of 15 episodes produced, only 13 aired before WB quietly pulled the plug. Critics called it unnecessary, viewers tuned out quickly, and the show faded into obscurity. Today, it's remembered mostly as a showcase for Tim Curry's talent in a project that never deserved it. Number 2, The Trouble with Normal, 2000-2001. Network ABC. Premiere 2000.
So then the woman from upstairs proceeds to describe in graphic detail what I sound like when I'm having sex.
At number 2, we have The Trouble with Normal, a sitcom that had an interesting idea, but ended up being too strange for mainstream TV audiences. The series followed 4 paranoid best friends who were convinced that secret government agents, hidden cameras, and mysterious organizations were watching their every move. While the concept had potential, especially for offbeat humor, the execution felt messy. The jokes relied heavily on wild paranoia, random outbursts, and conspiracy-themed punchlines that didn't always land. Instead of being cleverly absurd, the show often felt chaotic and repetitive. The characters were exaggerated versions of nervous wrecks, constantly whispering, jumping, and suspecting danger in ordinary situations. Their therapist, played by the incredibly talented Paget Brewster, tried to keep them grounded, but even her sharp comedic timing couldn't save the show's weak structure. Critics didn't know what to make of it. Some called it quirky and ambitious, but most felt the sitcom lacked direction. The humor wasn't strong enough, the characters weren't relatable, and the storylines were too weird for network TV in the early 2000s. ABC produced 13 episodes but aired only 5 before pulling the plug. Like many forgotten sitcoms of the era, it vanished quietly, remembered only by die-hard fans of unusual comedy. Number 1, Watching Ellie. Premiere date February 2002. Network NBC.
It's my toilet, but the thing is, I really wasn't using
Don't
it or
worry,
anything.
I'll fix.
This is out of order.
This, never.
Finally, number 1, Watching Ellie. This ambitious sitcom starred Julia Louis-Dreyfus in her big post-Seinfeld return. The show followed Ellie, a jazz singer in Los Angeles, in real time, 22 uninterrupted minutes of her daily life, with no laugh track, no multi-camera setup. Just a small cast, handheld camera, and indie-style storytelling. It was creative, bold, and ahead of its time, but viewers didn't understand it. Ratings dropped fast and NBC pulled it after 6 episodes. In 2003, they reworked it into a traditional sitcom, adding a laugh track and live audience. But by then, the original impact was lost. Critics admired Louis-Dreyfus's performance, but were confused by the show's format. Watching Ellie remains an example of how innovation doesn't always guarantee success, especially in early 2000s network television. And there you have it, 10 sitcoms from 2002 that tried, failed, and vanished almost without a trace. Looking back, these shows tell a bigger story about television itself. That year marked the end of an era. Laugh tracks were fading, audiences were changing, and networks hadn't yet figured out what would replace the old formulas of the 90s. Some of these shows had heart, some had clever ideas, but together they became symbols of a TV industry caught between decades, still clinging to the past while stumbling toward the future. So, which of these shows do you actually remember watching? Or did they vanish before you even noticed? Either way, the 2002 sitcom Graveyard stands as a time capsule, a fascinating snapshot of ambition, failure, and a few unforgettable misfires.